and welcome back to Christy's Journey to the Olympia, this time the talk show series. So today I decided to talk to you about goals, and because I love always to learn from people who know more than me, and whatever I tell you, it's based on my own experiences, of my own knowledge from what I learned also at university, because I'm a psychology graduate, from my life experiences, and also from various podcast books, people that I admire and I learn from along the years. And lately I am a big fan of Andrew Huberman'a Podcast, who is a neuroscientist professor at the University of Stanford in the USA. And one of my friends, for sometimes, she's asking me like, oh, I know you like to listen to all these things, they're so long, can you just listen to me at the specific podcast and just, make like a summary for me? And since then I was thinking like, what, this is a great idea for all other podcasts as well, and for books, and to basically bring it here on my YouTube channel. And this is what I decided to do today, to make like a little summary of the podcast about goal toolkits, how to set and achieve your goals, that Andrew Huberman did a few weeks ago. So thank you so much for all the information, Andrew Huberman. And I'm gonna try to compress it here in, a shorter, maybe 15-20 minutes maximum, because the whole podcast is around 1.5 hours, and I know that some people don't have the patience to listen, and because these are things that I think are extremely important in any area of our lives, because we all have some goals in some area of our lives, I decided to make like a little summary with the things that I think that are very important to take away from this podcast and to share it with you right here. Okay, so let's get into it. You'll see me probably quite a lot looking in my computer because I have some notes in here. And yeah, okay, so what are the goals actually? So goals are different things, different, milestones, let's say, or different objectives that we have in our lives, and they can be physical goals like I want to be super fit, or they can be relationship goals, I want to be married with kids in the next 5 years, or they can be professional goals or financial goals, I want to be a millionaire in like the next 5 years, and so on and so forth. And in order to set this specific objective and goals and to achieve them as well, there are certain steps and certain things that will help us according to science as well, and I will share with you in this podcast which are those things. So in terms of neurocircuits, goal setting and pursuit circuitry basically involves 4 major stations within the brain. They all have also other connections as well, but 4 of them are extremely important for us to set and achieve our goals. And those 4 are the amygdala, the basal ganglia, the lateral prefrontal cortex, and the orbital frontal cortex. At the beginning there'll be these like little scientific names to have a little bit of a background with actually what's going on in our brain and how these circuits in our brain help us in setting and achieving goals. So the amygdala is a structure within the brain. We basically have 2 amygdalas, 2 in each side of the brain, that is involved in circuits associated with arousals, in driving levels of alertness, and also is involved in fear, anxiety, but also positive forms of arousal and even learning. Then the next one, the basal ganglia, include a lot of basal brain structures from which two major pathways. The go pathway, that is involved in generating action, and then the no-go pathway, which is involved in withholding or ceasing action. So let's say if our goal is to stop a habit and replace it with something better, then the basal ganglia, it's involved in this process. Then the lateral prefrontal cortex is involved in immediate and long-term planning, orient both in space and time regarding the goals. And the orbital frontal cortex, it's a multitasker, like in general our brain, but it's mainly involved in the evaluation of our current emotional state and arousal state as it relates to our goal pursuit. For example, we are happy because we are sensing progress towards that goal, or on the contrary, we are unhappy, sad, frustrated, anxious because we don't see much progress towards that goal. So the orbital frontal cortex is extremely important when it comes to goals. And of course, these structures communicate with each other and other brain areas. It's very important to mention that all of us, we all have the same neurocircuitry for goal setting and pursuit. So all of us have these circuits in our brain that work the same for all of us, and in all kinds of goals that we want, we need to use these circuits in our brain. And this is very important to know, because for me before, I used to think like, okay, for like a sports goal or a physical goal, I understand what are the steps in order to set and achieve them and how to make them specific and measurable. But for other type of goals, is it the same process? And now from this podcast, I learned that yes, it is exactly the same process of setting and achieving goals, regardless of what kind of goal we are trying to pursue. If it's fitness, academic, monetary, relationships, we are going to use the same neural circuits in our brain for each and any of the goals. So if we can focus on these tools that are anchored in science, in biology, in the biology basically of the goal setting and pursue, we should have the greatest possible confidence that we will achieve our goals. Okay, so now we talked about the neurocircuits and the parts of our brain that are used in order to set goals and achieve these goals. And now, of course, the first question that we need to ask ourselves is, what goal do I want to pursue? A lot of times we have various goals, but science, not me, also I say it as well a lot, basically realize that it's extremely important to choose one priority specific goal. Because most people, who try to achieve multiple goals simultaneously eventually fail at all of them. In Romania, we have a saying that says, if you run after 2 rabbits, you're not gonna catch any. So yeah, the overall approach is not really working. If you say today is the beginning of the week, is Monday, and that's it. My goals for this week are, to lose weight, to get a new job, to be the best at singing, to learn a new language, and to eat very healthy. These are already like too many goals for 1 week. You need to write on a piece of paper all the goals that you want to pursue, then start, cutting the ones and ignoring the ones that, crossing out the things that you are willing to, put on hold while pursuing your priority goal, and then circle your main goal. So let's say my main goal is to be fit, which we'll talk later on that it's a very, vague goal. It has to be more specific. But let's say like it's a fitness goal. And it's important to know that, okay, this fitness goal is my priority for this week. Of course, it doesn't mean that you're gonna ignore, all parts of your life, and the only thing that you're gonna do this week will be just focus on your fitness, and you're not gonna do anything else. Of course, it's important to maintain, the levels of doing whatever you're supposed to do every day in a normal routine, but have only one priority goal. And having this priority goal increases the probability that you are going to achieve this goal. And also, it's very important, like how lofty that goal is will impact whether you are going to achieve it or not. I didn't know what lofty means, but I searched for the word, and lofty basically means how hard or how easy that goal it is going to impact if you are going to achieve that goal. A lot of people think that if a goal is easy to achieve, it's more likely that they will achieve it. And science tells us that this is completely not true. In fact, the opposite has shown to be true. If the goal is too easy to achieve, it seems it doesn't recruit sufficient amounts of the arousal network that involves the amygdala and other brain structures as well, of course, that get people into the necessary actions to continue with the pursuit of the goal. So the goal has to be, harder than you believe that you are able to do right now, but not that hard that you think it's completely impossible. So also, it's very important, something very, very, very important that I have to mention is that in order to learn something, we need to shift our nervous system into states that are somehow uncomfortable. So being uncomfortable, it is a must in order to change something, to learn something, to break a habit and learn a new habit. Safely uncomfortable states, but they must be uncomfortable. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And this is what science tells us as well. So any kind of successful learning or goal pursuit is going to involve errors, failures, frustration, anxiety, and is completely normal and needed in order to change and grow. Basically, all of those states shift the brain into the mode of neuroplasticity, and they give it the ability to change. If this doesn't happen, then nothing will change. So if you can complete what you need to do easily, then there is no reason for the neural circuits in the brain or body to shift in any way. So those states of discomfort, frustration, anxiety, failures represent shifts in the neurochemical state that open the opportunity for neuroplasticity to occur, and the changes between neurons that allow those neurons and their associated neural circuits to perform differently in the future when we learn something. So this frustration, this anxiety, the failures are the gateway towards learning. And something very important is that learning doesn't happen instantaneously, like just on the spot. Like you're frustrated and that's it, the next moment you learn. No, this is the gateway that opens this possibility to change, that it's a must. And then all the process of learning actually happens during sleep, and that's why sleep, it is vital, extremely important if you want to achieve your goals, to change something in your daily life, in your behavior. Sleep is extremely important. I say always this, even when it comes to weight loss, that during sleep it's when your body actually loses weight, and all these kind of processes to build muscle and recover the body happen just during sleep. But that I will do another video mainly on sleep. Okay, so the key to set and achieve goals is to decide one specific priority goal, set aside all other goals pursuits, and make sure that the goal is harder above what you would normally think at this time that you are capable to accomplish. So in doing so, you are going to encounter some level of frustration, anxiety, and remember, the orbital frontal cortex that we talked about at the beginning, that understands actually context. So it has the capacity to see that you are experiencing anxiety and frustrations that comes with making errors, and it's actually the gateway, a necessary gateway, as I said before, to achieve neurocircuit changes, the neuroplasticity that we're talking about. And instead of quitting, like maybe you might have thought before you knew that it's normal to feel frustrated, it's normal, completely normal to make errors and to have fear and anxiety. Now, because this is the gateway to change and it's actually a step forward toward your goal, it will help you actually make progress, because intellectually you understand that these are actually signs of progress. So it shifts the neurocircuits in the direction of the improved learning. How amazing is our brain, right? So, and as I said before, yes, neuroplasticity, I'm repeating it again because it's extremely important, does not occur instantaneously, like just on the spot. This is the frustrations that occur in our attempts to learn, to change a habit, to pursue a goal, basically is the trigger for neuroplasticity, and the actual rewiring of neurocircuits that allow for proficient correct performance occurs during sleep and other forms of deep rest. So like meditation, I love yin yoga before going to sleep. I'm telling you, it helps also to learn and to assimilate everything that you did the day before, the same day that you're doing the yin yoga, that you're doing the different forms of deep rest. So set a specific priority goal, pick a goal that feels challenging, almost out of reach, but not one that you believe it's impossible, and a goal obviously that you're super excited to pursue. So after you choose the goal, you need to decide, okay, what are you going to do? How are you going to know that you are moving towards progress when it comes to this goal? So you need to define the specific verbs, actions that are involved in pursuing the goal. It's absolutely critical to define actions, verbs. The specificity on your goal is extremely important. Otherwise, don't be surprised if you don't achieve it. So rather than saying that you want to be fit, as I was saying before about the fitness goals, you need to be specific about what fit means, defining the goal on a piece of paper. So writing things down is very efficient, basically, to embed knowledge in our nervous system, by the way. So what is basically the major block of action that is going to be involved in pursuing that goal? So let's say you want to get more fit, but then you need to put some action verbs, like what exactly are you going to do? You're going to walk, you're going to exercise, you're going to do resistance training, you're going to do strength training. So for example, the goal is like, I'm going to walk 3 times per week, I'm going to exercise with weights 3 times per week, and I'm going to do stretches 3 times per week. And even getting more specific when it comes to timing, it's better. So the more specific, the better. So I'll say, let's say I'm going to walk 3 times a week for 30 minutes. I'm going to exercise with weights 3 times a week for 60 minutes, from which 45 minutes are going to be extremely intense. So it is extremely important to be specific and to have, specificity and measurability in order to set and achieve your goals. There are like 100 years plus of studies in neuroscience that concluded that specificity and measurability are just a must if you want to set and achieve your goals. There are certain myths about the goal setting at Pursue, from which 2 are like the visual reminder myth. When you say like, oh, I'm gonna put like a post-it in the mirror in the bathroom, and I'll say there, remember to walk. If you leave that post-it there, then our visual system will get used to that, and it's not gonna make any any sense to have it there. On the contrary, it probably won't help you achieve your goals. It doesn't help because whatever shows up regularly on your environment gets cancelled out. So you get used with it and we ignore it. So what would work actually if you write, let's say, go to the gym on that post-it, and every day you put that post-it in a different location. Like today you put it in the mirror in the bedroom, tomorrow you put it on the fridge, after tomorrow you write it again every day, and then you put it in the living room. So this works so these visual reminders can be affected if you update them every day. If you put the post-it, you leave it there forever, that doesn't work. On the contrary, it diminishes the likelihood of progress if you have that post-it same day in the same location. Okay, so to increase motivation, you should engage in accountability. This is another myth. So that if you tell people that, oh, I'm gonna do this and that, and you're gonna achieve a certain goal, sometimes people say that, oh, is more likely that you're gonna achieve. And of course, to be honest, for a lot of people it does work. For me as well, it does work. But science says that if we inform the people around us about our future goals, usually because we get positive feedback and people are like, yeah, you can do it, go for it. This positive feedback activates certain rewards and motivation system within our brain that then quickly dissipate, and we won't continue to pursue that goal. So basically we get a dopamine rise just from the positive feedback, and then it will drop quickly, which might interfere with our continuous motivation to pursue the goal. So don't tell people about a goal prior to initiating action toward it. This seems to be more efficient. And best thing is to keep this goal for yourself and keep it in your mind, and have one accountability partner that can be very useful. For example, your personal trainer, your coach, that is just strictly addressing accountability, basically reminding you to do the things that you're supposed to do when you need to do them, and asking you if you did what you said you are going to do. So a coach, personal trainer, it's extremely important and definitely will help to achieve your goals faster. Learning how to drive pleasure from the effort itself, it is extremely important. Learning to enjoy the process of the journey towards achieving that goal for yourself, rather, just to prove someone else wrong. Because that was proved to be as well, correct sometimes. That if people tell you, no, you're not gonna do that, I don't believe you, then you'll be probably motivated, like, oh no, I'll show you I can do it, which is great, extra motivation. But it is extremely important to have, intrinsic motivation. So that motivation to come directly from yourself and to be attached to the thing that you are doing and route to a goal is way more. So that motivation that it's related to a goal is the most powerful and sustainable source of motivation. So nobody from the outside can come and motivate you on a long term. The most important motivation is the one that you have from the inside, and of course the people around you are important to support you and support your pursuit towards your goal. Another thing, very important, the goal has to be measurable. So how long are you going to pursue this goal overall, and how much time are you going to spend on achieving the goal each day or each week? And the major findings in the scientific literature say that I don't know what happened. So I was saying that The major finding in the scientific literature say that 12-week cycle of goal pursuit is optimal. So you make 12 weeks blocks, how many hours per week, per day, and which days of the week are you going to pursue that specific goal. Okay, so we discussed about how to set goals, and now about the goal pursuit. The best protocol for initiating the goal pursuit, it is related to how motivated we are to pursue our goal. So you have to ask yourself, am I highly motivated to pursue this goal, or am I feeling resistance, like I don't want to do it, I don't feel like doing it? Because there are two different strategies depending on the level of motivation. If you are extremely motivated, then what will work very well is for 1 to 5 minutes to visualize the positive outcome and the feeling state prior to initiating the actions towards the goal. So if you're very motivated, just think even how happier are you gonna be, like super fit, achieving your goal in your best shape ever. If you're not that motivated, then better not to do this. What's going to be very efficient is for 1 to 5 minutes to visualize actually failure, like to visualize what are the consequences that are going to be if you're not going to achieve that goal. How terrible you would feel if you don't achieve that goal, the terrible consequences of achieving that goal, like you're just not going to feel well, what people will say, you're just gonna be, very lethargic, unhappy. And this visualizing failure, if you're not motivated, most likely will motivate you to take action towards your goal and see progress. So, another thing interesting in the podcast, there are some tools to initiate and sustain effort during the process of pursuing the goal. Visual focus, it's a tool that you can use in order to maintain your level of motivation in a period of 90 minutes. So, it's well demonstrated that the cognitive focus is powerfully anchored to the visual system. So the eyes are actually two pieces of the brain outside of the skull. And when we narrow our visual attention, so we hold that narrow visual tension on a spot, several things happen, from which the recruitment of circuitry within the so-called brain stem that then deploys neurochemicals that increase our overall levels of alertness and arousal. So if in a 90 minutes block you feel like, I'm losing motivation, something that might help is to pick a visual target, ideally a visual target which is within the range of the work that you are performing, and focus your eyes on that locations and actively work to maintain your focus between 30, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. So maintaining your focus on one specific point for 30, 60 or 90 seconds will actually help you regain your focus in general. And also it can actually recruit the liberation of molecules such as dopamine and some associated molecules somewhere else in the brain that increase our levels of motivation and decreased the perceived effort while engaging in the specific work. And it helps actually to do more work in the same amount of time. So focusing on a visual target for 30, 60 or 90 seconds, it will help you with your overall focus and maybe make you a little bit happier and motivated. This is scientifically proven and it's very easy to do at any time. It involves zero cost and not any extra natural effort. It's a really interesting tool, I thought. Another tool, very important, is to distance ourselves from the phone. This really helps us to focus Basically, just put your phone in airplane mode or remove it completely during the time that you are doing the actions towards your specific goal. So for example, you're going to the gym, just leave your phone at home, in the car, in the locker room, or if you want to listen to music, just put it on airplane mode, so you know that 1 hour that you decide that you're going to the gym, you're really focused on what you are supposed to do. And also another thing that is very important is to understand the dopamine reward motivation pathways. So dopamine is the molecule of motivation and to some extent reward. And if you want to maintain consistent motivation during individual blocks of work and from day to day, across sessions and from week to week, actually, if you reward yourself every time you reach a milestone, you are going to diminish the motivation. However, if you will use the random intermittent reward, so if you reward yourself randomly along the process of achieving your goal, so sometimes you make a little progress and you flip a coin and you say, today I'm going to reward myself. I'm going to go and have a massage because I kept my promises to myself. I can see the progress that I'm doing with me getting fit. I went to the gym all the times that I said I will. I did my walks. So sometimes it's okay to reward yourself, but don't do it every time because then your level of motivations will drop. Do it just randomly. Like this is what they do actually with casinos and like lottery and things like this. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and this is what keeps you motivated to keep on playing. The same it goes with our goals. Okay, another thing, almost at the end, the middle problem. So people tend to have motivation at the beginning of pursuing the goal, and towards the end when they're like, okay, we're almost there, so they're super motivated to finish. But sometimes in the middle we can become a bit like less motivated, and in order to deal with this problem, easy, we just make this middle stage a goal on its own. So we break it up in 3-4 separate smaller blocks. So let's say you need to go for 1 hour to the gym, and today you really don't feel like, after like 3 weeks of going, today is the 4th week, you don't feel like. Instead of going for 60 minutes, you decide, okay, 15 minutes in the morning I will do my cardio, 15 minutes in the afternoon I will do abs, 15 minutes I will do other type of workouts, and like this, at the end of the day, you will figure out that you did the whole 60 minutes that you promised yourself that you will do. So break down the goal and the time in small enough chunks that eliminate the middle problem. So, all these little tools are extremely important and definitely will help you set and achieve your goal. Just keep in consideration that showing up in the best possible state of mind and body to perform your best is vital and fundamental. Like, all the things about sleeping well, getting sunlight in the morning, eating well, all these kind of things that are fundamental from your general well-being are vital and impact things like motivation and goal setting and achieving. And another thing, one extra thing, and I'm almost done. In order to optimize the ability to focus and the level of motivation, it was shown that also the circadian rhythm can be taken into account, because circadian rhythm and attention vary across the 24 hours, and 3 times during the day we have the greatest levels of focus, motivation and attention. That is 30 minutes after we wake up, 3 hours and 11 hours after waking up. Of course, it's very important, the flexibility when it comes to doing all the actions that you need to do in order to achieve your goal. And it's more important to complete the task rather than be fixated that, oh my god, I'm most focused just 30 minutes after I wake up, or 3 hours or 11 hours. What if I cannot take the actions needed towards my goal in that time interval? It's okay, as long as you do it. That will give you the feeling of accomplishment, and that's the most important thing, regardless of the time when you complete the task. So this is my summary of Andrew Huberman's podcast about goals, goal setting and achieving. Definitely it helps me a lot, and I will put it into practice because I do this with my physical goals, fitness goals and things like this. But with other kind of goals, I have to admit that I didn't really stick to this kind of protocols. And probably this is the reason why I didn't really achieve completely some of my goals. But now, because I have the right tools, and I hope this will help you as well, let's go on and make it happen. Make our dreams and our goals come true. Let me know if you like this kind of videos, if you find it useful. Probably it's around, I don't know, less than half an hour, shorter than an hour and a half, that is the full podcast. But I want to mention for you that on Andrew Huberman, I think it's hubermanpodcast.com, the website, you can definitely find, like a written summary, like PDFs. You can become a member and they send you different, like their own PDF summaries about the podcast. And that's definitely a great option. And if you like, seeing me telling you my own summary, and maybe sometime adding things about my own perspective about this kind of things, let me know, because I will continue doing videos about subjects like fitness, nutrition, well-being, mindset, goals, and everything, related to a happy, healthy lifestyle. And this definitely helps me, in pursuing my goal of becoming Miss Bikini Olympia, my 2026, 2027, let's see how this goes. Obviously this is a big long-term goal, so what I do, I make smaller goals for smaller periods of time, because there are steps that we need to follow in order to achieve bigger goals. But it's very important to follow these things and to put into practice everything that we learn, because otherwise, of course, the chances to fail will be very high. But if we follow this kind of protocols and the things that are embedded in science, and people that study these kind of things and that achieve their goals, use them, and they realize they are very effective, for sure, if you don't give up, you will achieve your goals. Hope you liked it, hope you enjoyed this video, and go and get your goals. See you soon.